Fire her! Fire that black maid immediately! Mr. Harrison hissed into his lapel mic, eyes darting nervously toward the Chinese billionaire approaching the lobby. She can't be anywhere near this meeting. The gleaming marble floor of the Wellington Palace Hotel reflected the chandelier's crystal light as the hotel's general manager straightened his tie and plastered on his most welcoming smile. Mr. Chang, whose investment group controlled billions in hospitality assets, stepped through the grand entrance with his entourage of 6 impeccably dressed associates. "Welcome to the Wellington." Harrison extended his hand, but Chang immediately launched into rapid-fire Mandarin, his tone clearly questioning. Harrison's smile froze as panic flooded his system. He frantically fumbled for his smartphone translation app, tapping desperately as sweat beaded on his forehead. The robotic voice that emerged butchered the pronunciation so badly that Mr. Chang visibly winced. "I'm so sorry, Mr. Chang, but I'm afraid none of our staff speak Mandarin," Harrison admitted, watching his career crumble before his eyes. Behind them, a black woman in a gray housekeeping uniform quietly pushed her cleaning cart past the tense scene. Her eyes briefly met the billionaire's before looking away, her face revealing nothing. No one noticed her presence as the drama unfolded. No one could see the Harvard diploma and Beijing University master's degree hanging in her tiny apartment, and no one had any idea that in just a few hours she would change everything. 3 hours earlier, the Wellington Palace Hotel had been a whirlwind of activity. "Mr. Chang arrives at precisely 2:00 p.m., Harrison announced during the emergency staff meeting. His investment group controls over 30 luxury properties worldwide, and he's considering adding the Wellington to his portfolio. The department heads nodded eagerly as Harrison outlined the stakes. "Remember," Harrison's voice dropped an octave, "Mr. Chang's net worth exceeds the GDP of several small nations. One misstep and we can kiss this opportunity goodbye." When the front desk manager asked about translation services, Harrison waved dismissively. "His assistant assured me Mr. Chang speaks perfect English. Besides, we've updated our translation software on all hotel devices." Outside the meeting room, the hotel transformed. Fresh flowers appeared in every corner. Staff practiced their most professional smiles. Harrison's 20-year rise from front desk clerk to general manager had been built on attention to such details. In the East Wing's executive suite, Olivia Thomas methodically refreshed the room, her movements efficient and practiced. At 32, she'd been part of the housekeeping staff for nearly 4 years. She tucked fresh Egyptian cotton sheets with hospital corners, her fingers briefly brushing against a book in her work bag. Dog-eared pages of advanced international trade theory peeking out beside a well-worn Mandarin English dictionary. As she polished the bathroom fixtures, her reflection fragmented across the mosaic of mirrors. Bachelors in International Relations, Masters in East Asian Linguistics, Fluent in Mandarin, all leading to pushing a housekeeping cart through America's luxury hotels. 4 years ago, she'd returned from studying abroad in Beijing with dreams of working in international business. 300 rejection letters later, her student loans demanded payment. The Wellington had been hiring. Temporary, she'd told herself. Yet here she remained. At exactly 2:00 p.m., a fleet of black Mercedes SUVs pulled up to the Wellington's circular driveway. When Mr. Chang stepped from the second vehicle, the air seemed to electrify. Despite being in his 60s, he moved with the confidence of a much younger man. "Welcome to the Wellington Palace Hotel, Mr. Chang." Harrison stepped forward with an extended hand. Chang offered a curt nod, then began speaking rapidly in Mandarin. The conversation was clearly more extensive than simple pleasantries. One of Chang's associates, a younger woman with sharp eyes, noticed Harrison's discomfort and spoke in accented English. "Mr. Chang is expressing his initial impressions of your establishment." An hour later, Harrison led Mr. Chang on a tour of the hotel's premium facilities. Throughout, Chang spoke primarily to his team in Mandarin. His associate, Ms. Lin, provided occasional translations, but Harrison sensed he was missing critical information. In the executive conference room, Harrison began his presentation. Our presentation today outlines the investment opportunity. But Chang's attention had shifted. He was asking something about zoning regulations affecting hotel properties. Mr. Chang is inquiring about recent changes to foreign investment tax structures, Ms. Lin explained. The room temperature seemed to rise 10 degrees. Harrison reached for his smartphone translation app. Could Mr. Chang repeat his concerns about tax structures? The app processed, then produced. Something about chicken tax and hotel mooncake. The absurdity hung in the air. Chang's expression darkened. Harrison tried again. This time the translation came back as, "Foreign money tree law change question important now." Chang said something sharp to Ms. Lin. "Mr. Chang wonders if you're properly prepared for this meeting." In the hallway outside, Olivia moved silently with her cleaning cart, catching fragments of the conversation through the partially open door. She winced at both the mangled translations and the increasing tension. Harrison's heart hammered against his ribs. "Perhaps we should take a brief recess," he suggested. "I can have our financial team join us." Chang checked his platinum watch and exchanged a glance with his associates. Their time was valuable, and it was being wasted. "I don't care what you're doing," Harrison hissed into his phone. "Bring anyone who speaks a word of Mandarin." The hotel's financial controller appeared first, breathless. "I can cover basic tax implications, but international aspects, that's beyond my expertise." The language service they contacted had no Mandarin speakers available. The IT manager explained the translation app was failing because it wasn't programmed for business terminology. Harrison's 5-minute reprieve was over, and he had nothing. "Mr. Chang, I must apologize," Harrison began, strain evident beneath his professional veneer. Ms. Lin translated, her tone noticeably cooler. Chang's response was brief and clipped. "Mr. Chang is concerned that a hotel seeking international investment appears unprepared for international communication." Harrison suggested rescheduling for tomorrow. Chang's expression shifted from disappointment to decision. He conferred quietly with his associates, several already closing their portfolios. "Mr. Chang has appointments with 2 other hotel groups. He says perhaps it would be more efficient to focus on those meetings instead." The carefully chosen words didn't mask reality. Chang was preparing to walk away. Throughout the unfolding disaster, Olivia had remained in the hallway, ostensibly dusting decorative moldings. 4 years of housekeeping had perfected her ability to become part of the background. But unlike the executives who saw only crisis, she heard every word exchanged in both languages. She understood Chang's frustration about specific regulatory changes. She recognized his references to municipal zoning ordinances. Most importantly, she caught the subtle implication that this wasn't merely about translation. It was a test of the Wellington's global business acumen. Olivia's mind raced. 4 years of careful separation between her work life and capabilities. 4 years of protecting his self from disappointment. The memory of her previous hotel job still stung. After helping Japanese guests with translation, she'd been reprimanded for overstepping rather than praised. Now, watching the Chang meeting disintegrate, Olivia felt conflicting impulses collide. Why risk humiliation for a company that saw her only as hands that cleaned rooms? Yet something deeper pulled against these concerns. Pride in her abilities and a crystal-clear vision of Chang walking away, taking with him not just Harrison's opportunity, but hers as well. Inside the conference room, Chang was already gathering his materials. "Perhaps we should consider our afternoon appointment." "Excuse me?" Olivia's voice cut through the tension as she stepped into the doorway. Every head turned, expressions ranging from confusion to irritation. "Not now," Harrison said sharply. "We're in the middle of an important meeting." Olivia ignored him, focusing instead on Chang. She took a deep breath and spoke in perfect, academically precise Mandarin. "Respected Mr. Chang, I couldn't help but overhear your questions about recent amendments to foreign investment regulations. Perhaps I might offer some assistance with translation. The room froze. Chang's eyebrows shot up in genuine surprise. Ms. Lin's mouth opened slightly. Harrison stared at Olivia as if she'd materialized from another dimension. Chang recovered quickly, responding in rapid Mandarin, deliberately using complex financial terminology, testing her. Your Mandarin is exceptional. Perhaps you can explain how the city's new vertical zoning allowances might affect a mixed-use development. Without hesitation, Olivia responded with a detailed explanation, citing specific municipal codes and comparing them to similar regulations in major Chinese cities. As she spoke, the atmosphere transformed. Chang's associates straightened, several taking notes. If you don't mind my asking, Chang said, gesturing to Olivia's uniform, how does someone with your abilities come to be working in this capacity? Before Olivia could answer, Harrison stepped forward, pulling out a chair. Please join us. Your name is? Olivia, she said simply. Olivia Thomas. Harrison's whisper was urgent. What department are you with exactly? Housekeeping, sir. And you speak Mandarin? How exactly? I studied at Beijing University. I have a master's in East Asian linguistics and international business relations. The information hit Harrison like a physical blow. And you didn't think to mention this during hiring? It was on my resume, page 2 under educational background. As Chang began conversing directly with Olivia about international market positioning, Harrison interrupted. Perhaps we should stay focused on the investment presentation. Ms. Thomas can translate my points. Chang waved away Harrison's agenda, continuing his conversation with Olivia. She wasn't simply conveying words, she was bridging business cultures, providing insights neither Harrison nor Chang had anticipated. The Wellington's current design already incorporates elements that Chinese luxury travelers value, she noted. The emphasis on privacy, Eastern exposure of premium suites, attention to water features. These align with feng shui principles. She then addressed specific weaknesses. The hotel lacks dedicated tea service areas and has limited multi-generational accommodation options, critical for Chinese family travelers. Additionally, the digital payment systems don't integrate with WeChat Pay or Alipay. Chang nodded appreciatively. You understand nuances that most Western hospitality groups miss entirely. After an hour of productive discussion, Chang turned to Harrison with newfound respect. Your hotel has impressive potential. Ms. Thomas has highlighted compatibility factors I hadn't previously considered. Chang's gaze shifted between Olivia's professional demeanor and her uniform, the contrast impossible to ignore. May I ask what is Ms. Thomas's official position? Ms. Thomas currently works in our housekeeping department. Chang registered genuine shock. He turned to Olivia, switching to Mandarin. You maintain rooms with these credentials? Yes, she replied simply. It's honest work while I continue seeking opportunities better aligned with my education. Chang shook his head in disbelief. This is a significant oversight. Mr. Harrison, I find it concerning that your organization has someone of Ms. Thomas's caliber cleaning rooms rather than contributing to your international business strategy. As the meeting concluded, Chang extended his hand to Olivia, withdrawing a distinctive black card with gold embossing, his private contact information. Should you be interested in exploring opportunities with Chang International, I would personally review your application. Harrison stepped forward. Ms. Thomas, we should discuss your role at the Wellington immediately. Chang nodded approvingly. I will be recommending the Wellington to my associates, but I would suggest a serious review of your talent management practices. Overlooking capabilities like Ms. Thomas's is not merely an oversight, it's a competitive disadvantage. 1 month later, Olivia stepped off the elevator onto the executive floor, her gray uniform replaced by a tailored charcoal suit. Her employee badge now read Director of International Guest Relations, a position created specifically for her. Harrison had offered the position the same day as the Chang meeting, along with a salary that moved her student loans from delinquent to manageable. But more valuable than compensation was the opportunity to fully utilize her skills for the first time since returning from China. In the hotel's main conference room, Olivia stood before 30 staff members from various departments. "Welcome to the first session of the Wellington's Hidden Talents Initiative," she began. "Each of you was invited because you indicated ski, LS, education, or language abilities not currently utilized in your position. 1 month ago, I was pushing a housekeeping cart outside this very room. Today, I'm helping restructure our guest services. This transformation wasn't because I suddenly gained new abilities. It was because circumstances finally made my existing abilities visible." The evening sun cast long shadows across the Wellington's grand lobby as Olivia completed her final task, welcoming a delegation from Shanghai. Her Mandarin flowed effortlessly as she explained the hotel's amenities, including their new Chinese tea service and WeChat payment integration. As the guests proceeded to the elevator, she noticed a young man in a maintenance uniform adjusting a lighting fixture, an engineering student she'd identified at the Hidden Talents session. Their eyes met briefly, a moment of recognition between two people who understood what it meant to be more than their uniforms suggested. In her month as director, Olivia had already identified 17 employees with valuable untapped abilities. 3 had been promoted. 5 had received additional compensation for utilizing their language skills. All had experienced the fundamental dignity of being fully seen. The true value of a person, like a precious stone, isn't diminished by being temporarily overlooked. Its worth remains intact, waiting for the moment when the right eyes finally see its brilliance.